My last two video guides for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles were beginner guides that didn't dig too deep into any one topic. Those will be linked in the description if you're looking for a primer or quick refresher. This video, however, will be a more in-depth look at the loot system. We'll be discussing how to get specific artifacts and endgame items to drop from the bosses so you're not wasting time with the same rewards. This guide is short and quick, so pay attention and let's go. Before I can explain the loot tables, you need to understand how cycles work in Crystal Chronicles. Every dungeon in the game starts out on cycle 1. After collecting a drop of myrrh from a dungeon, it will dole out the myrrh tree until you've collected 5 more drops from other dungeons. The next time that dungeon can award you with a drop, it will have moved to the next cycle. Once a dungeon cycle moves up, it can't go back. You'll only have access to earlier cycles via multiplayer. The in-game year has no effect on dungeon cycles, so you'll need to verify which cycle your dungeon is on by checking the moon-shaped icons in the host section. Now that we hopefully understand cycles, we can talk about loot tables. When you defeat a boss, you'll be presented with the bonus scores and the loot ring. There are 8 slots to be filled, 4 from the boss's set, and another 4 artifacts that are picked up inside the dungeon itself. The 4 artifacts you can collect in the dungeon are always the same for each cycle, but the boss can award you with one of 4 sets depending on your bonus points. This is where things get a bit tricky. If you score under the required amount for set 2, you will always be awarded set 1, 3, or 5 depending on which cycle you're on. These are the only sets you can guarantee yourself when farming. Let's assume we're on cycle 1 of Riverbell Path. As your points go up and you unlock each additional set, you're not replacing the earlier ones, but rather adding them to the pool of possible draws. By the time you score 149 points in single player, for example, you'll have a 25% chance to be awarded set 1, 2, 3, or 4. This makes farming artifacts and items from sets 3 or 4 much more difficult. Luckily, there are a few things we can do to help ourselves collect the set we're after. First and most effective, if you don't get a good bonus objective, you can simply leave the dungeon and re-enter. This will give you a new bonus that is more likely to score what you want. You can't check your current points during the dungeon, but there are certain bonus objectives you can rely on to get the score you're after. If you're trying to collect from a lower set, you'll want to make sure you have something like defeat enemies with focus attacks, spells, or spell fusions. These are easy to avoid using and will score you almost 0 points easily. If you're hoping for a middle set, try getting take physical or magical damage, or even open treasure chests. These are good objectives that can score you those middle points without much extra work. For the higher sets, you'll want to inflict damage, pick up items, or pick up money. These are guaranteed to hit that top tier as long as you're not dashing to the boss. The last thing we're going to cover is a bit of an exploit. Maybe exploit is a bit too strong of a word, as we're just using the in-game autosave function to re-roll our final loot table. As soon as you enter the boss room, the game will create an autosave. If you kill the boss, score the correct amount of points, but still don't get what you need, you simply press the home or PlayStation button and close the game. When you restart the game, just select the autosave and jump straight into the boss fight again. The loot table re-rolls every time you defeat the boss, so you can do this as many times as it takes to get the set you're after. This can save you a ton of time redoing long dungeons, especially if you only need a single item. That's all there is to farming in Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, please leave a like and maybe subscribe to the channel for more Crystal Chronicles content. Happy hunting, and I'll see you guys in the next video.